Have you ever moved into a new place and felt like something was just off? For Julia Reyes, a 27-year-old true crime podcaster, that feeling came with her new apartment, Unit 7C. The rent was a steal at $650 a month, a rare find in the city. It came with a few quirks, like a flickering light in the hallway and a drafty window. And it also came with a large antique mirror mounted above the fireplace. It was beautiful, with a gold-gilded frame, but it was chipped in places, showing its age. Julia didn't think much of it at first. In fact, on her first day she did what any of us would do. She took a selfie in her new space, posing in front of the mirror. But when she looked at the photo later, something was weird. In the picture, her reflection was smiling, but it seemed laid like it had smiled a split second after she did. She shrugged it off. Jet lag, moving stress, whatever. It was just a trick of the light. But things started getting stranger. A few days later, on a Friday night, Julia was deep in her work, editing episode 12 of her podcast Crimson Threads. It was late, exactly 11:11 p.m., when she glanced up at the mirror. What she saw made her blood run cold. Her reflection wasn't mirroring her at all. It was sitting there, just like her, but on the screen of the laptop in the mirror. The title read Episode 13, The Disappearance of Julia Reyes. Her heart hammered in her chest. She blinked, trying to clear her vision. Her reflection blinked back, but it was unnervingly slow, deliberate. This wasn't a trick of the light. This was something else. A cold dread washed over her. The mirror wasn't just a piece of furniture. It was watching her. The next morning, shaken but trying to rationalize, Julia found a sticky post-it note adhered to the mirror's surface. The handwriting wasn't hers. It was spidery and thin, like an old, faded letter. 3 rules were scrawled on it. Rule number 1, never look in the mirror after midnight. Rule number 2, never cover me. And the third, the one that made her stomach clench with fear. If I blink first, run. Who wrote this? The previous tenant, a prank. Part of her wanted to rip it off and throw it away, but another, more primal part, a small voice of self-preservation, told her to listen. That night, she was extra careful. She avoided the living room after the clock struck 12, using the bathroom down the hall instead. But a simple accident changed everything. As she walked past the living room, the towel draped over her shoulder snagged on the doorframe and fell to the floor. It was 12:07 a.m. Her eyes darted instinctively towards the mirror, and she froze. She was standing in the doorway, but her reflection was standing in the middle of the living room, unmoving. It slowly turned its head, its eyes locking onto hers, and then it smiled and mouthed the silent words that echoed in her mind. "Hi, Julia." Panic set in. Julia tried to ignore it, to convince herself she was hallucinating from lack of sleep and too much coffee. She decided to dive back into her work, thinking a routine would ground her. On Monday, she scheduled a live stream on Twitch, a Q&A session with her listeners. She set up her camera in the living room, keeping her back to the fireplace. As the stream went live, comments started flooding in, but they weren't about her podcast. People were typing things like, "Who's that on the couch?" and "Oh my god, that's so creepy." Confused, Julia glanced at her monitor, which showed what the camera was capturing. There she was, standing and talking to her audience. But in the background, reflected in the mirror, was another Julia. This one was sitting calmly on the couch, waving slowly at the camera. The chat exploded. "It's possessed. That's a demon." Julia ended the stream abruptly, her hands shaking. This was real. It wasn't in her head. Desperate, she called her best friend, Tara, the next night. It was late, 1:23 a.m., but she couldn't be alone. She switched to a video call, wanting to see a friendly face. "Tara, you're not going to believe this," she started, pacing her bedroom. "The mirror in my living room. There's something wrong with it." She turned her phone camera around to show Tara the empty living room, the dark, imposing mirror. As the camera panned across it, Tara screamed, a piercing, terrified shriek. "Julia, behind you." Julia whipped her head around. "Nothing." What did you see?" she asked, her voice trembling. Tara was hyperventilating in the mirror. "Your reflection was holding a knife." "A knife?" Julia didn't even own a large kitchen knife. The call ended with Tara begging her to get out of the apartment immediately. The next day, Wednesday, Julia decided she'd had enough. She was leaving. She packed a bag, her heart pounding with every creak of the floorboards. But when she went to the front door, the deadbolt was locked. She hadn't locked it. She fumbled with the knob, turning it again and again, but it wouldn't budge. It was jammed, sealed shut from the inside. A horrifying realization dawned on her. She was trapped in the apartment with it. Rage and fear boiled over. She grabbed a heavy book from her shelf and hurled it at the mirror. It struck the glass with a sickening crack, shattering into a spiderweb of fissures. For a moment there was silence, relief. But then, she watched in absolute horror as the cracks began to shrink, the shards of glass knitting themselves back together, pulling themselves into a smooth, unblemished surface as if nothing had ever happened. And then, the reflection changed. It wasn't just mirroring her anymore. It pushed against the glass, distorting it like a rubber sheet. A hand, pale and long-fingered, pressed through. Then a shoulder, a head. The figure of her doppelganger stepped out of the mirror and into the room. It was identical to her in every way, except for its eyes. They were completely black, two empty voids. It smiled that same slow, deliberate smile and whispered, its voice a chilling echo of her own. You blinked first. By Thursday, Julia was a prisoner in her own home. The entity, her other self, was in control. It moved freely, while she was paralyzed by terror. That night, at 3:33 a.m., it taped her eyelids open, forcing her to stare into the mirror as it projected her deepest, darkest secrets onto its surface, fears she'd never told anyone, mistakes she was ashamed of, memories she had buried long ago. Then, it went to her computer and started a new live stream. The title, Julia's Final Episode. Over 100,000 viewers tuned in, drawn by the cryptic title and the rumors from her last stream. They watched as Julia, or what looked like Julia, sat before them, her eyes wide and unblinking, while the mirror behind her played out her life's most private moments for the world to see. She was being psychologically tortured, and her audience thought it was part of some elaborate performance. The end came in the early hours of Friday morning. At exactly 4:04 a.m. the doppelganger approached her. It's time for the swap, it said calmly. It placed its cold hands on her shoulders. The world tilted a nauseating lurch as if she were falling. The familiar wood floor of her apartment dissolved, replaced by the cold, smooth surface of glass. She was inside the mirror, looking out. Her body, her real body, was now occupied by the creature. It looked at its new hands, flexed its fingers, and then turned to face her. Her own face twisted into a triumphant sneer. Don't worry, it said, its voice now her own. I'll take over from here. And with that, it turned and walked away, leaving Julia trapped in a silent, two-dimensional prison. The next day, the police broke down the door to Unit 7C after receiving calls from concerned viewers. They found a body, Julia's body. A note was left on the table. Couldn't handle the fame, it read. The case was closed. Another tragedy in the relentless churn of the city. The mirror, standing above the fireplace, was empty, polished, waiting. A week later, Unit 7C was back on the market, the rent even lower now, just $600. The online ad was cheerful, enticing. It mentioned the beautiful hardwood floors, the great natural light, and the charming antique mirror that was included with the apartment. Perfect for creators, the listing said. And so the cycle continues. Somewhere out there, there's an old mirror in an empty room. It waits, and if you happen to stand before it at midnight, you'll see your reflection staring back, perfectly still, unblinking. It's waiting for you to blink first. When you do, it walks out. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments if you've ever had a creepy experience with a mirror, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more strange stories. Stay safe out there.